So what's happening in Turkey on November 5th, 2025? Well, it's a huge day. We've got a major European court ruling colliding head-on with domestic politics. A statement from a politician that nobody saw coming has completely scrambled alliances. And of course, the markets are reacting to every little tremor. Let's break it all down. We're jumping right into the single biggest story of the day. This is a decision that has sent absolute shockwaves through Ankara. After years and years of legal battles, the European Court of Human Rights has made its final call on Selahattin Demirtaş. And the question on everyone's lips is simple, but the answer? Well, that's anything but. What happens now? Okay, so here's the deal. The European Court of Human Rights, the ECHR, has officially finalized its ruling, and it's demanding the immediate release of Selahattin Demirtaş, the former co-chair of the HDP, along with others tied to the Kobani case. You have to understand, this isn't just another legal maneuver. This is the final, definitive word from Europe on this. Now, this didn't just come out of the blue. It's really the end of a long, long legal road. You can see there were major rulings back in 2018 and 2020, but the date that changed everything was just yesterday, November 4th. That's when Turkey's final appeal was rejected, and that's that. Because Turkey is a member of the Council of Europe, this ruling is now legally binding. No more appeals. As you can imagine, the political reaction was immediate and fierce. Tülay Hatimogorlu, the co-chair of the Dem Party, which is the successor to the HDP, did not mince words. She basically said this is a fundamental test for Turkish democracy. The time for talking is over, and the only right move is to implement the court's decision without a moment's delay.
And what about the man at the center of it all? From his prison cell, Selahattin Demirtaş sent a message that goes way beyond his own legal fight. He's actually calling for a brand new peace process, telling members of parliament to take some political risks and start a dialogue by going to İmralı, which everyone knows is a reference to the imprisoned PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan. He's linking his fate to a much, much bigger political resolution.
But the official government response? Yeah, that paints a totally different picture. The Justice Minister, Yilmaz Tunç, acknowledged the ruling is final, but then he said something critical. We will wait for the judicial process. That phrase is everything. It signals that they're shifting the focus back to Turkey's own courts, basically saying the final decision will be made here, at home, regardless of what the ECHR sets. And President Erdoğan immediately backed that up. He said that the government will follow the lead of its own judges. This draws a very clear line in the sand. It places all the authority with the Turkish courts and sets up this huge potential conflict between an international treaty obligation and the country's own legal system. But hold on. Just when you thought you knew where everybody stood, the political world was turned completely upside down. This statement came from Devlet Bahçeli, the leader of the MHP, a key ally of the government. For him, of all people, to say that Demirtaş's potential release would be auspicious? I mean, that's not just a surprise, it's a political earthquake. Nobody saw this coming, and now everyone is scrambling to figure out what it means. So, with all this political drama unfolding, you know where our attention has to go next? The economy. How are the markets reacting to all this instability? Let's take a look at what the numbers are saying. First up, the currency. The US dollar is now trading at 42.10 Turkish lira. It's continuing that steady climb as all this political uncertainty swirls. And it's pretty much the same story against the euro. The lira is at 48.42, again showing that persistent weakness, while traders watch every move in Ankara. And in times like these, where do people put their money? You guessed it, the classic safe haven, gold. The price for just 1 gram is now over 5,300 lira. To really get what these numbers mean, though, you gotta zoom out and look at the whole year. The dollar is up over 22%, the euro almost 29%. But the real story here is gold, a massive jump of nearly 78%. That tells you everything. In a climate of ambiguity, investors are flocking to what they see as the only safe bet. Okay, for a moment, let's hop across the Atlantic to the United States, because there is a fascinating picture of political opposites playing out over there today. So, at the national level, it is now set in stone. The U.S. Congress has formally certified the 2024 election results, which confirms Donald Trump's return to the White House with 312 electoral votes. He is officially on track to become the 47th president. But at the very same time the nation was confirming a Republican victory, one of its biggest cities went in a completely, and I mean completely different direction. New York City has just elected Zohran Mamdani as its new mayor, a self-proclaimed socialist, a Muslim, and a former rapper. You just can't make up a starker contrast with the national political mood.
So how'd he do it? Well, his platform is built on a whole series of deeply progressive policies. We're talking new taxes on the rich, freezing rents, making public transit free, and even creating nonprofit, city-run grocery stores. It's a really bold vision, and it clearly resonated with a lot of New Yorkers. All right, let's wrap things up with a quick lightning round of some of the other headlines making news today. For all the sports fans on the football pitch, it was a huge night for Fenerbahce. They managed to win the big derby with a final score of 3-2. Over in Singapore, there's news that their parliament has approved a very harsh new anti-fraud law, one that actually includes caning as a possible punishment for scammers. And finally, just a friendly reminder to look up at the sky tonight. You'll be able to see a supermoon, which is the biggest and brightest full moon we've seen since all the way back in 2019. So there you have it. A binding international ruling is clashing with domestic politics. A stunning political statement has scrambled all the alliances, and the markets are just trying to keep up. The big takeaway today is that these political and economic fault lines aren't just sitting there. They are actively moving. And that leaves us with the one essential question. As these tectonic plates shift, what's on